Hey folks, Nitno here. Today we're taking a look at the brand new 1.19 update and going over everything you need to know. We are getting a lot of exciting things this patch, including new zones to explore, attention to vehicles, new weapons, and more. Let's hop right into it. Livonia got a lot of attention this patch with some very unique additions. Don't worry, I'm not going to give away all the spoilers. I will simply be going over what we already know from the DayZ dev Twitter. I'll be making a separate video on how to access these new secrets. Alright, so Livonia is getting a lot more fleshed out, and many of the zones that had nothing in it, such as the vast forest, will now be getting some summer camps, forest camps, and other points of interest. There is a huge quarry section added north of Nadbor, where you can find industrial loot, such as plastic explosives. Here is a big one that is borderline spoiler, but I'll refrain from explaining what's inside. There is a new military base in the southwest of the map. Here you can find the top secret locked bunker that was teased on the DayZ Twitter page. I'll hold off on the details on how to get inside and what loot you can find in it. You can expect that separate video coming soon. As for vehicles, we're getting a new M1025 multi-purpose vehicle. This thing is a beast and a very welcome addition to the vehicle lineup. We are now getting some more control over our vehicles with a handbrake feature. The strength in which you are braking can now also be adjusted, shift for a stronger brake. We now have a horn for cars, so get ready for some car horn spam. Here is some huge news for vehicles. They have now implemented the latest version of our game engine Infusion's version of vehicle simulation. What that means is that the vehicles should now be fixed. Hopefully this means that the vehicles will no longer get launched off into outer space and they'll simply just work. For a few additional tweaks to vehicles, damage to the fuel tanks can now be repaired with duct tape or epoxy. This is a question I got a lot on my video, how to build and repair the M3S video. So now we finally have a way to fix the fuel tank. It is now noted that if the fuel tank is completely ruined to red, it will not be repairable and the vehicle will be set to despawn soon. As for weapons, we are now getting two new weapons. First, we have the SSG-82 rifle, which is a basic long-range rifle that comes with a scope. This weapon will spawn in police stations labeled Tier 2, 3, and 4, meaning they likely won't be at a police station on the coast, but if you go in a little bit, you'll find one near a police station, maybe even in the garages outside the police station. Secondly, we have added a new PK-12 shotgun. This is basically an addition of another low-tier spawn weapon. As for additional items, we are getting a few new items such as the GPS receiver. This receiver will help you pinpoint your coordinates and better explain where you are to friends. The portable map now provides more details if you have a GPS as well. A blowtorch was added, which you can now actually use to repair car engines. As well as a glow plug, which is used on the new military truck, and an improvised eye patch. We are also getting a black plate carrier for those of you that want to go all blacked out like a true Chad. Even more items can now spawn in the damaged state, so it will be much more likely to find items that are damaged instead of pristine. Now for bases and base raiders, this is a huge one that we've been asking for a long time. Swimmers have now been fixed. What players used to be able to do is there was an exploit where they could somehow swim under the map and then pop up in your base. This has finally been fixed. This is one of the most requested fixes for base builders for months now, maybe even years. The day has finally come. Thank you, DayZ devs. Dynamic events. A couple new dynamic events have been added. First, we have a chance for random military convoys to spawn. Secondly, The dynamic event for random police cars around the map has been replaced with a new police event spawn that looks like a believable event transpired here. Player controls. Controls for your player will feel different as they have now added inertia to players. Your character now feels like it has weight to it. For example, you'll be slower when strafing, when running around turns, and up and down terrain. Basically, the crazy zigzag players used to do when you're trying to snipe them, that has been nerfed. So adjust your playstyle accordingly. Water reflections have been added to the game, so if you want the world to look a little more pretty, change this in your settings. You can turn this off as well, and it will likely save resources. Items now make sound when they're thrown against the wall or floor. Keep this in mind when you're trying to throw, say, a sneaky grenade and it bounces off the wall and the floor. An unsuspecting player will now hear that happen and they'll have a moment to adjust. For some additional changes and fixes, I'll now fire off a bunch of changes that I found to be worth mentioning. The 40mm smoke grenades will now bounce off of surfaces and also deal damage on impact. Does that mean we'll be seeing smoke grenade kills? We'll see. You no longer need to look down to empty a water bottle. The distance that light sources travel, such as a head torch or a flashlight, has been adjusted. Sea chests can now be repaired with wooden planks. Jumping onto a steep hill will no longer cause the player to momentarily float. If this has happened to you, you know exactly what I mean. Characters no longer get wet when they're inside a vehicle. The common cold has been slightly nerfed, and it's not as punishing. Ignited torches will now properly extinguish when placed in water while swimming. So here's one that I saw in the patch notes, and I've not yet tested yet, but I thought it was worth mentioning and it caught my eye. Server owners can now set their server to allow older versions of PBOs when loading without kicking the players. This might fix the issue when you're waiting 30 minutes in the queue for a full server, only to be kicked when you're entering because one of your out-of-date PBOs. And a PBO is part of a mod, by the way, so this would only apply to PC players. I could be mistaken on this. We'll see what it means and if server owners actually decide to use this feature. Alright, blast on over to the next video and take your game knowledge to the next level. Subscribe to the channel and snipe the like button. Thank you and have an awesome day.